Thanks for coming back. This is the 3-part of my series on book prescription. So these are books that solve specific problems. These are books that I constantly, I would say, recommend to people who come to me with different types of challenges. So let's dive right in. You can listen to the previous 2 episodes, just find them on the podcast. Okay, you might be doing good work, but nobody seems to notice or care about that. The book that I recommend on this is Impact Players by Liz Wiseman. What I love about this book is that she shows the difference between people who are contributors. These are people that are doing their job well, and impact players. These are people that make everyone around them better. Now, impact players don't just complete tasks, they spot opportunities, they bridge divides, and multiply the success of their teams. These are the people within organizations that you give them something, they'll get it done, and multiply the success of their teams. She talks about 5 different practices that impact players have, and I love practice number 5. It's to make work light. So to make work fun and enjoyable. I love that she's brought that into it. Really great book. And not to say that contributors are bad, but it's more about if you do want to get noticed, get recognized, get promoted, make a real difference, and you want to become an impact player, this book is the prescription for that. Okay, here's one for the business owners or founders or salespeople. Maybe you feel like you're bad at business development, so you love what you do, but you're not too great at selling, and maybe you feel slimy when you try to sell. A really good book on this is Give to Grow by Bunnell. Honestly, I read a lot of books about business development, about sales, about building relationships. I think this book is like the perfect combination of all 3. And he comes at this from a really great angle. It's through genuine generosity rather than pushy sales tactics. He has a framework called GGL, which is give, get, and leverage, which teaches you how to lead with value and create win-win relationships that naturally, organically lead to opportunities as opposed to putting a hard sell on someone. So this one's great. It's networking for people who hate networking. Okay, there's 2 books I want to recommend here for this problem. And this is for when people like, Leanne, I'm looking for something that's inspiring, but I don't want to roll my eyes and I hate self-help books. The 2 books I'd recommend are Before and Laughter by Jimmy Carr and EXO by Cody Rigsby. Jimmy Carr's book is so good. If you like him as a comedian, you kind of read it in his voice, and the stories are really funny, but he has some really tremendous insights about resilience and success, about his work, his work ethic and what he did, and how he quit his high-paying corporate job to become a comedian. I think it's just written in a way that is really accessible and fun, and it doesn't feel like you're being preached at. And the second book is XOXO by Cody Rigsby, because again, he is hilarious as well. Cody is my favorite Peloton instructor. He's also the host of one of my favorite podcasts called Tactful Pettiness. And the detail, and I guess how it reads is it's authentic, but it's also sassy advice about confidence and staying true to yourself with humor and heart. Both of these books are part memoir, part life lessons from 2 really high-achieving, fun, awesome people. Next challenge, how do I build a community? I've got an audience, but how do I turn an audience into a community? The book that I recommend on this is Superfans by Pat Flynn. This book is all about how to convert casual followers into passionate advocates who actively promote your work. So this is about creating an evangelism culture and doing that through community. And what he does is break down the journey, maybe it's with your business or if you're a creator, from people that have no idea who you are through to being a super fan, and gives you strategies on how to get people through that process and how to deepen relationships. This isn't about scaling relationships. This is actually about going back to things like in-person events, personalization, sending out direct messages to people that just sign up for your email. It's like videos, doing that stuff to really serve your community as well. And again, coming from a really genuine aspect, not just about building the metrics as well. Next book. This tends to happen when you might have a decade birthday or maybe entering quarter life or midlife. I've had these coffee conversations where people have said, hey, I feel like I'm just drifting through life. I don't really have a plan. The book that I recommend on this in terms of a really great approach to figuring this out, one is Pivot by Jenny Blake, who I've referred to in the first episode. That's more of a career thing, but if you're looking generally around your life and you want to zoom right out, Hero on a Mission by Donald Miller is exceptional. Now, I actually haven't read this book, but before he wrote the book, I actually did his online program, got the workbook, downloaded it, printed it out, watched all the videos and did this. I think that's what he's just put into the book. But what he does is helps you build your life story with intention. The first thing you do in this is actually write your own eulogy, and then you go through every decade and you future cast and think, What would I be doing? Where am I? What have I got? You're actually going through that process of mapping out every decade what your dreams are and just giving yourself some direction. And then you hone it back to, what do I need to do today? So it's a really great workbook, journal, guide for figuring this stuff out. Very pragmatic questions, very accessible. And Don Miller is a writer first. And so, yeah, highly recommend that. Okay, this might be a problem. I don't know if anyone's actually spoken to me about this problem, but I'm sure it's one that we sometimes think about. One is this book that I'm about to recommend solves a variety of these challenges. One is, I feel trapped by expectations from society, my parents, my boss. I compare myself to others constantly. I always come up short. I want to live more authentically, but I'm scared of conflict or disappointing people. I waste too much time and energy worrying about what other people think of me. The book that I recommend is The Courage to be Disliked: How to Free Yourself, Change Your Life, and Achieve Real Happiness by Ichiro Kashima. If you stop living for external approval and start focusing on contribution, freedom, and self-acceptance, you will be happier. And a lot of this is accepting that, hey, you can't please everyone. It's your task to do what's right for you, and it's someone else's task to decide what they think of what you're doing. So it's actually quite a freeing book. There's actually quite a lot of controversial stuff in it as well. One of the chapters is about that trauma is not a real thing. So just sharing that in case, just giving you a heads up on that. The other powerful thing in this book is it talks about the difference between horizontal and vertical relationships. So a lot of organizations are set up hierarchical, like vertically, but he says what you want is all your relationships to be horizontal, or have the perception that they are horizontal, because the second you feel like you are either better than someone else or you're less worthy than someone else, you then change your demeanor and you're not yourself. So this is really around, how do you position as being a peer-to-peer with anyone that you meet? Very interesting, very provocative points of view. This book definitely made me wake up, so highly recommend that. Okay, that's it for this 3-part series. Let me know if there's any other books that you would recommend. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.